Hi everyone, it's Taylor. Welcome back to my channel. I'm an American expat living in Malaysia and I like to share my life and travels with you. Well, today I'm in Desa Park City and I'm going to interview one of the original designers of the incredible development. Sound interesting? Stay tuned. So I'm here with my new friend Julian. He's originally from the UK, is that right?
That's correct.
Julian's wife, Norelle, originally contacted me and said her husband was involved with developing Desa Park City. Well, since I love Desa Park City, I just jumped at the chance to do this interview. So I hope you all will be interested. So Julian, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and how you managed to end up in Malaysia?
Okay, so I came to Malaysia in 1993, so that's almost 31 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I originally applied for a job in Singapore. The company I applied with the job basically said that Singapore was going in a bit of an economic downturn. There was an opportunity in Malaysia, would I be interested? So I came and had a look, found it very exciting. At that time, they were just pouring the foundations for KLCC. The KL Tower was probably about 20 meters out of the ground.
Oh my gosh.
And it was a very exciting place, lots of opportunities, lots of work. So I came to KL. I thought I'd be here for 2 years and I'm still here.
Did you meet your wife here or before you moved here?
Now, I met my wife in Singapore. I used to have an office in Singapore, but I closed that down a number of years ago and just to focus on Malaysia. And what came out of that was actually my marriage,
Cool.
my relationship with Norelle. So yeah.
When you got the job with Desa Park City, did you already have your firm here?
Yes, so I was with another company until 2000, and in 2000 I set up Walrus Design. So I'm the founding director of that company, and we got involved in Desa Park City in 2003. The development started in late 1999, early 2000, and the site originally, believe it or not, you wouldn't think so going around there with all the beautiful landscape, but the site was originally a quarry, and it was still being operated when we first got involved with the project.
That's amazing to me. I mean, you showed me pictures, and I'm going to show some here, but I couldn't believe it. It is so lush and green and beautiful to think that just 24 years ago it was just a rock quarry.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it wasn't an abandoned quarry. It was still being actively quarried. They were using the material to create aggregate. Most of the material within the development for concrete and a lot of the landscape related stonework is all material from within the site. So if you drive up to Park City Heights, all the walls, all the rocks on those, that's all from within the site itself.
That's so great. Yeah, that's really a nice touch. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back a little bit farther. Why don't you tell us how the whole idea of Desa Park City got started?
Well, Park City is quite unusual because historically in Malaysia, there's landed property is normally individual land titles where you buy a house and it's on a road. Park City was one of the first developments where they experimented with landed strata. So basically it's like a horizontal condominium. And at the time people thought that wouldn't sell, but it did. It's been very successful. And one of the benefits of that is that you can have a secure compound. So for example, Adora, Adiva, Casaman, they're all landed strata compounds where it's like a condominium. You have a secure perimeter, you can keep that secure, you can pay maintenance charges to keep the compound secure, and then outside of that you have a public road and a public park. So the amount of public space is controlled in many ways, and all the block titles for Desa Park City are either strata or landed strata titles, with the exception of 2 or 3. So it's quite a different development, and it was quite unique in 2000, 2001 when they launched it. It's actually become quite a benchmark in terms of pre-planned residential townships.
Yeah, well, it's wonderful.
I think the reason that they've become very popular in Malaysia, I mean, security isn't really a big issue here, to be honest, but the perception of security, that you can actually have a legal boundary around your master title. You can put a fence around it, you can have guards, you can control that. That's very appealing. And I think Park City has benefited from that in a very intangible way in some ways, because if you analyse why you feel safe jogging around the main circulation road in Park City, is because from any point along that road, if you're walking around that road or through the park, you can see the guardhouse for one of the units. So you feel that somebody can see you, and you can see a guardhouse as you go around, and it gives you this perception of safety, which I think is real, because it's very visible, and I think that helps in how Park City has become, recognised as a very safe community. It wasn't designed that way, but it's worked out that way,
Yeah.
and it's actually, it's very beneficial.
Well, and you sort of alluded to this, but I was shocked when I moved to Malaysia to see the level of security that people have in their private homes and stuff that I just don't see as being that necessary. It just seems like such a safe place, but I guess there still is crime.
Well, there's petty crime, there's burglary, obviously. Violent crime is very, very low. Malaysia's a very safe place to live, actually. A landed property, which is in a normal community, you've got grills, people put fences up. Where you have the situation in Park City where you have the landed strata, because the security's on the perimeter, you don't need a gate, you don't need a fence around your house. We don't have grills on our houses because they're not necessary. We can leave the windows open, and within the compound itself, it's very safe and very secure. Kids can play safely in the street. Speed levels are very low for traffic running through. It's a great way of living.
I also was impressed when I got here, and the guard actually got on a bicycle and directed us to your house.
Yes, yeah. Different compounds have different protocols, but in this compound they will do that, yes.
So you already explained this to me earlier, but the original plan for Desa Park City was something you all created, you and the people you were working with, I suppose, but of the master plan of how the streets were and where the lake was going to be and all that. That's like the first plan?
So the very first plan would be the land use planning, which would be done by the planner and the overall submitting architect. And once that's defined, we would come in and then we would look at all the streetscape, all the roads, the central park, come up with a concept for the landscape for that. If there's any input required to enhance the strategic planning, we would do that. So one of the things that we were quite instrumental in was to make sure that the main circulatory road that goes around Park City, where you enter from the waterfront, Adora, Adiva, that main circular road there, normally you would have a standard road reserve which would be defined by a drain on either side with a footpath on it. We actually have a 5-foot reserve outside of that, which is basically public open space, and that is planted with trees so that we get basically a multiple avenue effect. So normally in a standard road section that would be a drain, you'd have a central reservation, one row of trees on either side. Now we have a central reservation with trees, we have a row of trees behind the curb, and there is another row of trees in front of the fence for the property. So it has a very different character, which is again quite unusual, because as a developer you need to give up some land to achieve that, but the developer considered that worthwhile, and it's been very, very successful. So when you drive around Park City, you think, oh, this is really beautiful.
Yes,
Those beautiful avenues. Why is this different to other developments? You don't really think about it, but there are reasons, and that's been designed in as part of the concept.
Absolutely.
Well, again, considering the site was a quarry when we started, so in order to achieve that, what we had to do was blast down below the rock level, so not just the platform level for the roads, but where the street corridors were, we overblasted by at least 2 meters so that we could put soil back in to get the tree growth we needed for all the trees. So even at the very early stage, that was all designed, that was all considered, and that was all built into the concept so that we could achieve the overall objective. And obviously there are challenges developing on a quarry site.
Were you new then, or was this one of your first planned developments, or were you already in business doing that?
With my previous company, I was responsible for some other developments. There's another landed gated community called Sierra Mass. I was the landscape architect for Sierra Mass. And in that project, one of the key things was integrating the open space and what were left as valleys between his old oil palm plantation as part of the open space network. And we put in indigenous woodland species in there. And since that project, we've promoted that concept in all of our jobs. Another project we did was Valencia, which is another kind of gated landed community. That's all got indigenous species in there. Very, very successful. They've actually got red list endangered species within the compound.
Wow.
They've had all the trees tagged by FRIM using satellite tagging, so they're all actually recorded within that development. That's been very successful, and we've done the same thing in Desa Park City. So no, it wasn't my first project, but it's actually an expansion of other projects that I've been involved with. But one of the things that we did do here was actually looking at ways of hiding the stormwater management. So within any new township, the parks are quite often combined with retention ponds. So these are part of the stormwater management system within a township, where if it floods, the water level goes up, retains the flood volume, and then dissipates very slowly. So you have to design for a fluctuating water level. And what we wanted to do was create a very natural lakeside appearance. So we didn't want any drains coming into the lake where you could see the head walls and the openings of the drains. So everything is actually under the water line. So all the incoming culverts come in under the water. When you walk around the central lake, which I'm sure you'll probably do later, if you take photos, you won't see any of that infrastructure, you won't see any of that engineering, you just see a beautiful parkland.
That's really nice. My condo in Florida is my particular unit views on a pretty retention pond with a fountain, but you can clearly see where the water comes in, you know, and I think that's more special. It makes it seem more natural to have that hidden.
Yeah, well, I would challenge you to find a chunk of concrete entering the lake. We're very, very particular about hiding those, and that's something that we've done a lot in our more recent projects as well, very successfully.
So as I sort of mentioned earlier, you have your own landscape design company here in Malaysia. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so Walrus Design is my company. I would consider it a boutique landscape consultancy, but we have about 15 staff. So most people might consider that to be a medium-sized company, but we tend to specialize in certain types of work. So we'll do civic realm, open space, landscape planning, parks, hotels and resorts, and high-end residential. And we generally stick to that. And if some of those projects are part of a mixed-use development where it incorporates civic realm and residential towers above a commercial development, we would get involved in those types of projects as well. Like I say, we've been operating with this company independently since 2000, so almost 25 years now.
Wow.
And we've got a very good track record and a very nice portfolio, and we generally work with most of the major better quality private sector developers in Malaysia.
So Desa Park City seems pretty self-contained. Do you do most of your entertaining and dining out just within the confines of Desa Park City?
No, Desa Park City has actually got some very nice F&B outlets.
Yes.
It's a very nice environment. You know, if you go to the waterfront, you've got Al Maison, you can sit on the terrace. It's social, you can sit on the terrace. There are various other outlets there, which is a beautiful environment. Arcadia has a lot of options, but Malaysia's got so much food, so much opportunity. We don't really restrict ourselves to here. And it depends on what you want. You know, if you want Western, whether you want Italian, whether you want French, or if you want Asian, you've got Vietnamese, you've got Thai, you've got all the different varieties of Malaysian food. There are so many options. We don't really have a favorite. We kind of eat all sorts of things all over the place. We're very connected. So from Park City, we've got options. So we can get onto the LDP, we can get into PJ very easily, we can get into Bangsar very easily, we can get into Damansara Heights very easily. If we go out on the Duke 2, we can get onto the Duke, so we can get to Ampang very easily, we can get into town very easily. So
it
actually
only took me 20 minutes
connected.
to get here today. So we were talking about food earlier. Do you and your wife have a favorite restaurant, or do you have like a favorite restaurant for each type of cuisine?
Not really. I mean, we like I said, we eat all sorts of food, and we have different restaurants for different food. We won't really stick to one. We like to try different places, and there's always somewhere new opening up. So there's always somewhere new to try. So we're quite eclectic in our taste, and we like to experiment and try new places. And there are so many. You know,
Yes,
it's
always
very easy
new.
to. I mean, with such variety, it would be such a shame to kind of limit yourself to just one place to keep going back to.
So, I know you're not ready to retire yet, but do you think you're going to stay in Malaysia after you retire?
Oh, absolutely would be my goal. Yes, yeah, I have that intention.
Do you get back to the UK much? Do you have family there? Or?
Um, I go back generally once a year. My father and mother are in the UK, but my father's quite ill at the moment, so we're going back in the summer to see him. I want to spend as much time with him as possible. Beyond that, I don't really have any further family in the UK other than I've got my oldest daughter is there. My brother is American. He's a naturalized American now. He's been in America for over 35 years. So his family are all that side, completely the opposite
Wow.
side of the planet.
Yes.
So yeah, there's less and less draw to go back to the UK, to be honest. And this is my home. My friends are here. All my, the majority of my life has been, the greater part of my life has been spent in Malaysia. I love it. It's a great country. Malaysians like to complain about things and the politics, but I mean, as non-Malaysians, we're just here as guests. And if you just enjoy the country for what it is, you put all the politics to one side. That's going to do its own
We
thing.
have our own politics back home.
Absolutely, we're the same. Just let that be and enjoy the country. It's very accommodating. People are really friendly. It's a wonderful place to live, and just be here and enjoy it as a guest. It's a wonderful place.
Now I'm going to have some footage of you of Desa Park City and around Julian's house, a little bit of his house. I don't want to intrude too much, but it's beautiful and I'm sure you'll enjoy that. Julian, I wanted to thank you so much for meeting with me today. I guess I really should thank your wife because otherwise you didn't even know who I was, but
That's true.
and I will thank her. But it's just been a pleasure, and it's so fascinating to hear the history of Desa Park City.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure. So yeah, thank you very much. It's been wonderful being able to share the story with you.
Yeah, now I have someone else to visit when I come out here.
Absolutely, you're always welcome.
Thanks. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview today with Julian, everyone. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and check the notification bell too so you won't miss any of my future content. And if you really want to help Taylor, buy me a coffee. The link's in the description below. It really helps. But that's all I have for today, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it so much. It's been such a pleasure to come out here to Desa Park City once again. But that's all I've got for today. Talk to you later. Bye.